Part 1. The stars burned cold and distant over the Kestro system, but on the moon of Syrah 7, fire raged. Smoke coiled from shattered domes and broken defense towers. The ground trembled under the weight of Dominion walkers, massive, insect-like machines that crushed everything in their path. Alarms wailed in the distance, but most of the base was already silent. Dead silent. General Elena Vance stood alone on the command ridge, her uniform torn, her face streaked with ash. She held a plasma rifle in one hand and a cracked data pad in the other. The data pad showed the last transmission from her second-in-command, Captain Rios. He had betrayed her, not with words, but with silence. He never answered her orders. He never sent the reinforcements she needed. And now his fleet was nowhere to be seen, vanished like mist in the void. Elena knew then. The Dominion hadn't just attacked. They had been invited in. She looked back at what remained of her forces. Less than 200 soldiers huddled in the ruins of the eastern hangar. They were tired, wounded, low on ammo, but their eyes still held fire. They looked to her, not as a general, but as a mother protecting her own. And she had failed them. Still, she raised her voice over the wind and the distant explosions.
Hold the line.
1 more hour. Just 1 more hour. But deep down, she knew no help was coming. The Dominion had spent months weakening the Rimward Alliance from within. False treaties, poisoned trade deals, whispered lies in council chambers. And now, with Kestro's falling, the entire Outer Rim would collapse like a house of cards. Elena had seen it coming. She had warned the Alliance Council. They called her paranoid. They said peace was finally at hand. Peace, what a joke. A blast shook the ridge. Dirt and metal rained down. Elena ducked, then sprinted toward the last functional comms tower. She needed to send one final message, not to the Alliance, but to 3 hidden coordinates scattered across the galaxy. Coordinates only she knew. Coordinates that led to her children. She reached the tower, blood dripping from a cut on her temple. Inside, the console flickered weakly. She typed fast, fingers trembling but sure. If you're reading this, it's time. Run no more. Remember who you are. Remember why you were hidden. And if I'm gone, make them pay. She hit send. The message vanished into the quantum stream, encrypted in a code only her children could break. Then she smashed the console with the butt of her rifle. Outside, the sky darkened. Not from clouds, but from ships. Hundreds of them. The Dominion's flagship, the Iron Maw, hung in orbit like a black god. Smaller gunships descended, firing ion pulses that melted steel and silenced screams. Elena stepped back onto the ridge, rifle raised. She didn't plan to survive, but she would not be taken alive. Then she saw it, a squad of Dominion shock troops emerging from the smoke. Not regular soldiers. These wore silver armor, faceless helmets, and moved with eerie precision. The silent guard, the High Consul's personal executioners, they stopped 10 meters away. One stepped forward and removed his helmet. It was Drex Vorn himself, tall, pale, with eyes like frozen glass. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. General Vance, he said, voice smooth as oil. You fought well. For a relic. Elena didn't answer. She aimed her rifle. Vorn chuckled. Go ahead, shoot me. My body is cloned. My mind is backed up every second. But you're the last of your kind. A woman who thought honor mattered in this galaxy. He raised a hand. From behind him, drones unfolded, humming with energy nets. You will not die today, Vorn said. You will live. You will watch as we burn every world that ever called you protector. And when your name is forgotten, we will parade your bones through the capital as a lesson. Elena fired. The plasma bolt struck Vorn's chest, but he didn't flinch. His armor absorbed it. The drone surged forward. Energy nets wrapped around her arms, her legs, her throat. She fell to her knees, gasping, but her eyes never left his. You made one mistake, Vorn. She spat through gritted teeth. Oh? He tilted his head. And what's that? You left my children alive. For the first time, Vorn's smile faltered. Just for a second. Then he nodded to his guards. Take her. To the Hollow Maw, maximum isolation. No visitors, no comms. Let the darkness eat her mind. As they dragged her away, Elena looked up at the burning sky. She thought of Liam, flying some forgotten freighter through asteroid belts, of Mia, slicing data in some neon-lit den on Viridia, of Jake tinkering with drones on the dusty plains of Braxis. She hoped they got her message. She hoped they were ready, because if they weren't, the galaxy would drown in tyranny, and no one would remember her name. The transport lifted off, leaving Cyrus 7 in ruins. Below, the last lights of the Rimward Alliance blinked out one by one. Above, the stars watched, silent and uncaring. But somewhere far away, 3 signals blinked to life, and vengeance began to stir. Part 2. Liam Vance flew low over the asteroid belt of the Garrow Rift, his ship, the Iron Finch, humming like a restless ghost. He wasn't supposed to be here. No sane pilot risked the Garrow. It was a graveyard of wrecked freighters and old war drones, all tangled in magnetic storms. But Liam wasn't sane, not anymore. He'd gotten the message 3 days ago, encrypted, buried in a fake cargo manifest. Just 3 words. They have her. He knew who her was. He'd known since he was 10 when his mother kissed his forehead and told him to run, to never look back, to forget her name if he had to. He'd spent the last 12 years doing exactly that, hauling scrap, dodging patrols, sleeping in engine rooms with a blaster under his pillow. But now forgetting wasn't an option. His comm crackled. "Liam, you're off route again," came the voice of Mara, his only regular contact. A grizzled dockmaster on the fringe station Helios 9. Dominion patrols doubled after Kestros fell. "You're playing with fire." "I know," Liam muttered. He didn't tell her why he was heading deeper into the rift. She wouldn't understand. No one would. He adjusted the throttle, weaving between jagged rocks. The Iron Finch wasn't pretty. Patched hull, mismatched thrusters, cockpit held together with duct tape and hope. But it was fast. Faster than anything the Dominion flew. His mother had helped him build it piece by piece before the war. Before she vanished into the military machine, a red alert flashed on his screen. A Dominion scout ship, small but deadly, had locked onto his tail. Liam cursed under his breath. He couldn't afford a fight, not here, not now. He dove into a narrow canyon between 2 asteroids, engines screaming. The scout followed, firing pulse rounds that sparked off the canyon walls. Liam waited until the last second, then cut his lights and reversed thrusters. The scout shot past, confused. He spun the Finch around and fired 2 heat-seeking missiles from his rear launchers. The explosion lit up the dark like a dying star. Silence returned. Liam exhaled. His hands shook. He wasn't just running cargo anymore. He was running toward something. Toward her. Toward them. He pulled up a hidden file on his console. 3 faces. Mia, Jake, him. A family photo from before the world broke. He hadn't looked at it in years. Now he stared until his eyes burned. He set a new course. Coordinates his mother had given him long ago in case of emergency. A place called Serpent's Vale. He didn't know what waited there, but if Mia and Jake got the same message, they'd be heading there too. And for the first time in over a decade, Liam hoped to see his siblings again, on the gleaming city world of Viridia Prime. Mia Vance sat in a dimly lit apartment 30 floors above the neon streets. Outside, holographic ads floated in the rain, promising peace under the Dominion. Inside, Mia's fingers danced across 3 floating screens, lines of code scrolling faster than most people could read. She worked for the Dominion. Officially, she was Data Analyst Level 4 in the Central Intelligence Hub. Unofficially, she was a ghost in their machine. For 6 years, she'd fed them lies. False fleet positions, fake rebel contacts. She'd watched as their warships chased shadows while real resistance cells grew stronger in the dark. She'd even helped erase her own birth records, replacing them with a clean identity. Mia Torres, orphan from the outer colonies, but tonight, everything changed. The encrypted message had come through the emergency channel, hidden inside a routine system update. Her mother's voice, weak but clear. "If you're reading this, it's time." Mia froze. Her heart hammered. She hadn't heard that voice since she was 12, when Elena kissed her goodbye in a rainy alley and told her to disappear. Now, she had to reappear. She wiped her screens clean, then activated a failsafe protocol. Every file she'd ever stolen, every Dominion password, every command frequency, every secret base location, began uploading to a hidden drive disguised as a music player. She slipped it into her coat pocket. Then she walked out of her apartment, down the service stairs, avoiding the main elevators. Cameras tracked her, but she moved like she belonged, shoulders back, eyes forward. She'd practiced this walk for years. At street level, she hailed a public skycab. Serpent's Vale outbound dock, she said, voice steady. The driver nodded. Long trip. Dangerous out there. I've been dangerous my whole life, she said quietly. As the cab lifted into the stormy sky, Mia looked back at the glowing towers of Viridia Prime. She'd spent years inside that system, poisoning it from within. Now she was leaving it behind. Not as a spy, but as a daughter. And soon as a soldier. On the dusty plains of Braxis, Jake Vance stood in the middle of a junkyard that stretched for miles. Around him, half-built drones buzzed like angry hornets. He called them Wrens, small, fast, and deadly. Each one carried a micro-warhead or a hacking module. He'd built over 200 of them, using scrap metal, old comms gear, and parts stolen from Dominion supply drops. Jake was only 20, but his hands were calloused, his eyes sharp. He'd been raised by ex-soldiers who taught him how to fix engines, plant mines, and disappear in a sandstorm. They never told him who his parents were, but his mother had left him a box, a metal case buried under the floorboards of their old home. Inside were schematics, coordinates, and a single note. When the stars go dark, wake the Wrens. The message arrived at dawn. Jake was calibrating a new drone when his wristcom vibrated with a code only he recognized. His mother's final signal. He didn't cry. He didn't speak. He just stood very still, then walked to the center of the yard and pressed a button on his belt. All 200 Wrens lifted into the air at once, forming a swirling cloud above him. Their lights blinked in unison, green for go, red for war. He packed his gear, spare parts, rations, a worn-out photo of his siblings. Then he climbed into his modified sandskiff, the Wrens hovering behind like a living shadow. His destination was Serpent's Vale. He didn't know what waited there, but he knew one thing. The Dominion thought his mother was broken. They were wrong, and her children were coming. Part 3. The Serpent's Vale. Nebula hung in space like a wound in the sky, swirling violet gas, jagged rock fields, and silence so deep it felt alive. Hidden inside its heart was Outpost Theta, a forgotten rebel way station buried in the belly of a dead comet. No maps listed it. No patrols flew near it. It was the kind of place only ghosts knew about. And now 3 of them had arrived. Liam landed the Iron Finch first, engines hissing as they cooled in the thin atmosphere of the docking bay. He stepped out, blaster at his hip, eyes scanning the shadows. He hadn't seen his siblings in 12 years. What if they didn't recognize him? What if they blamed him for not protecting their mother? Then the bay doors groaned open again. A skycab-sized sand skiff dropped from above, kicking up dust. Out stepped Jake, lean, sunburned, wearing a patched jacket and goggles pushed up on his forehead. Behind him, a cloud of small drones hovered like nervous birds. Liam almost smiled. You still playing with toys? Jake's eyes narrowed. These toys can melt a Dominion gunship from the inside out. Before they could say more, a third ship slid in. Sleek, silent, painted matte black. Mia stepped out, coat flapping, data drive in hand. She looked at both of them, then crossed her arms. You're both late, she said. Liam blinked. We've been here 5 minutes. You were supposed to be here yesterday, she shot back. Timing matters. Coordination matters. Or did you forget how to plan? Jake snorted. Says the spy who spent 6 years pretending to love the Dominion. Mia's eyes flashed. I was gathering intel while you two were playing outlaw and mechanic. Tension crackled between them like static. They were strangers wearing familiar faces. The years had carved them into different people. Liam hardened by the void. Mia sharpened by secrets. Jake shaped by solitude. Then Mia pulled out a small hollow projector. She tapped it and their mother's face appeared, pale, bruised but unbroken. If you're seeing this, Elena's voice whispered, you found each other. Good. Now listen. The Dominion thinks I'm broken. They think my name is dust. Prove them wrong. Not with rage. With precision. With unity. You are stronger together than you ever were alone. The image faded. Silence returned. Liam looked at his siblings. Really looked. He saw the same stubborn set of their mother's jaw in Mia's face. The same quiet intensity in Jake's eyes. And in himself, he saw the fear he'd buried for years. We can't just charge in, Mia said finally. The Hollow Maw is the most secure prison in the galaxy. No ships get close. No signals get out. We need a plan. I say we blow a hole in it, Jake said. My wrens can overload the gravity stabilizers. Cause a chain collapse. We slip in during the chaos. That's suicide, Liam said. Even if we get inside, how do we find her? The maw has thousands of cells. I already mapped it, Mia said, pulling up a hologram from her drive. Before I left Viridia, I hacked the prison's maintenance logs. Cell block Gamma 9. She's being held in isolation, but they move prisoners every 72 hours for health scans. That's our window. Liam studied the layout. We'd need a distraction. Something big enough to pull their fleet away. I can fake a rebel attack on Xanthera, Mia said. Send false distress calls, spoof fleet signatures. They'll send half their armada to defend the capital. And I'll handle the inside, Jake added. My wrens can disable turrets, cut power, even mimic guard signals. They'll think the prison is glitching, not under attack. Liam nodded slowly. I'll fly us in. The Finch can ride the debris field from a nearby asteroid collision. They won't see us coming. For the first time, they were thinking as one. They named themselves that night, not out loud, but in their actions. Vance's vengeance. No flags, no broadcasts. Just 3 siblings with nothing left to lose. Over the next week, they worked without rest. Mia rewrote Dominion codes from memory. Jake tuned every wren for silent flight and EMP bursts. Liam stripped the Finch down to bare metal and rebuilt it for stealth, coating the hull in radar-absorbing dust, muffling the engines, installing a short-range jump drive stolen from a wrecked scout ship. They argued. They shouted. Once, Jake threw a wrench at Liam after he questioned his drone swarm's range. Mia nearly walked out when Liam suggested they kidnap a Dominion officer for intel. But every night they gathered around the holoprojector, watching their mother's message again. And every morning they came back to the work. Then came the test run. Mia sent a fake signal, a rebel fleet gathering near the Helios belt. Within hours, Dominion warships began shifting position. It worked. Jake launched 10 wrens into a mock assault on an abandoned mining station. They disabled turrets, jammed comms, and vanished before the drones even registered an intruder. Liam took the Finch through the Garrow Rift at full stealth. No lights, no emissions. Not a single patrol spotted him. They were ready. One evening, as the nebula's glow painted the outpost in soft purple light, Mia turned to her brothers. When we get her back? What then? Liam looked at the stars. Then we make sure no one else suffers like she did. Jake adjusted his goggles. Then we break the Dominion. Mia nodded. Good. Because I've been waiting a long time to return the favor. No more words were needed. They packed their gear, loaded the ships, and prepared for the jump to the hollow maw. Somewhere in the dark, their mother waited, and her children were coming for her. Part 4. The hollow maw hung in space like a black tooth, cold, jagged, and silent. No lights blinked on its surface. No ships orbited it. It was a tomb for the forgotten, and tonight, it would be broken open. Liam guided the Iron Finch through a cloud of drifting asteroid fragments, engines off, coasting on momentum alone. Behind him, Mia monitored Dominion chatter through a stolen comm relay. Ahead, Jake's wrens, 200 tiny drones, fanned out like a swarm of fireflies invisible to radar, silent as thought. They're moving the prisoners, Mia whispered. Right on schedule. Gamma 9 to medbay in 20 minutes. Liam nodded. Then we go now. He fired the thrusters in short, quiet bursts. The Finch slid into the maw's shadow, docking against a maintenance airlock marked for waste disposal. Jake was already out planting shaped charges on the outer hatch. 30 seconds, he said, fingers flying over a wrist console. The charges blew with a muffled thump. No alarms, no guards. The wrens had already fried the local sensors. Inside, the air was stale and cold. Red emergency lights pulsed along the corridor. Mia led the way, her data pad synced to the prison's internal network. Left here, then down 2 levels. Med bays at the end. They moved fast, boots silent on metal grates. Every corner held danger. Auto turrets, motion traps, patrol drones. But Jake's wrens moved faster. One group jammed security feeds. Another mimicked the heat signature of a cleaning bot. A third hovered near the ceiling, ready to strike. They reached a junction. Mia froze. Patrol. 2 guards, coming this way. Liam pressed against the wall, blaster drawn. Jake sent 3 wrens ahead. They zipped around the corner, released a micropulse, and the guards dropped without a sound. Stunned, Not dead. Clear, Jake said. They kept going, deeper into the maw. The walls grew colder, the silence heavier. Then they saw her. Through a reinforced glass window, Elena Vance sat on a narrow cot in a bare cell. Her hair was gray now, her face thin, but her eyes were sharp. She looked up as if she'd felt them coming. Mia's breath caught. Liam's hands tightened on his weapon. Jake just stared like he was seeing a ghost made real. Mia hacked the door lock. It hissed open. Elena stood slowly. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She just looked at each of them in turn, as if memorizing their faces all over again. "You came," she said, voice rough from disuse. "Of course we came," Liam said. Jake stepped forward and handed her a small plasma pistol he'd hidden in his coat. "We brought you a way out." Elena took it. Her fingers closed around the grip like it was an old friend. "Good, because we don't have much time." Mia frowned. "What do you mean?" "The High Consul isn't just executing me for show," Elena said, walking with them down the hall. "He's using my death as a signal. At the exact moment of my execution, he activates the Oblivion Array." Mia stopped dead. "The what?" "A weapon," Elena said grimly. "Hidden in Zenthara's core. It doesn't just destroy cities. It destabilizes the planet's mantle. One pulse, and Zenthara cracks open like an egg. Millions die, and the shockwave wipes out every ship in orbit, including rebel fleets." Liam's blood ran cold. "He's turning his own capital into a bomb?" "To make an example," Elena said. "He wants the galaxy to see what happens when you defy him. Even in death, I'm part of his theater." Jake's eyes narrowed. "When is the execution?" "Tomorrow, during the Centennial Victory Parade. Live broadcast across all systems." Mia's mind raced. "We can't stop it from here. We need to get to Zenthara." "Not just get there," Elena said. "We need to reach the array's control chamber, deep in the planet's crust. Only a direct override can shut it down." Alarms suddenly blared. Red lights flashed. "They know we're here," Mia said. "Then we leave now," Liam said, grabbing his mother's arm gently. They ran. Behind them, blast doors slammed shut. Auto turrets unfolded from the ceiling, but Jake was ready. He unleashed the full swarm. Wrens shot down the hall, slamming into turrets, overloading circuits, creating a wall of sparks and smoke. "Go," he yelled. "I'll hold them." "No," Elena said firmly. "We leave together." Mia pulled up a map on her datapad. "There's a service elevator near the reactor core. It leads to a hangar on the far side, less guarded." They sprinted through twisting corridors, guards shouting behind them. Plasma bolts sizzled past. Liam fired back, covering their retreat. They reached the elevator. Mia hacked the panel. The doors opened. Inside, the air hummed with power. The elevator dropped fast, deep into the maw's belly. Above, the prison shook. Explosions echoed through the metal. "What's happening?" Liam asked. Jake grinned. "I told the Wrens to overload the gravity stabilizers. The whole asteroid's coming apart." Elena looked at him with something like pride. "You always did like big exits." The elevator stopped. They burst into a small hangar. A single prisoner transport sat waiting, old but functional. Liam ran to the cockpit. "I can fly this." Mia and Jake helped Elena aboard. As the engines roared to life, the hangar walls cracked. Chunks of rock broke loose. The hollow maw was tearing itself apart. The transport shot out just as the asteroid imploded behind them, collapsing into a cloud of dust and fire. In the cockpit, Liam set course for Zenthara. Mia checked the comms. "The parade starts in 18 hours. Jake powered up his remaining Wrens. "Then we better be ready." Elena sat in the co-pilot seat, staring at the stars. For the first time in years, she wasn't alone, and the war was far from over. Part 5. Zenthara burned under a false sun. The capital world of the Dominion glittered with banners, marching soldiers, and crowds forced to cheer as High Consul Drex Vorn prepared to execute General Elena Vance live on every screen in the galaxy. But beneath the polished streets, deep in the planet's crust, something far deadlier waited. The Oblivion Array, a weapon that could crack the world open like glass. Liam, Mia, Jake, and Elena stood in a stolen maintenance tunnel beneath the parade route. The air was hot and thick with the smell of oil and ozone. Above them, the crowd roared. Music blared. Vorn's voice echoed through hidden speakers, praising his own greatness. "We have 40 minutes before the array activates," Mia whispered, eyes locked on her datapad. "The control chamber is 3 levels down, heavily guarded." Jake checked his wrens. Only 80 left, but each one humming with purpose. "I can clear the first 2 levels. After that, it's up to you." Elena adjusted the stolen guard uniform she wore. "Then we move fast and quiet. No mistakes." Liam nodded. "Stay close." They slipped through the service shafts like shadows. Mia disabled security panels with quick taps. Jake sent wrens ahead to blind cameras and jam comms. Liam led with his blaster ready, eyes sharp. Elena followed, not as a prisoner, but as a hunter returning to her old grounds. They reached the first checkpoint. 2 guards stood before a blast door. Jake flicked his wrist. 2 wrens shot forward, latching onto the guards' helmets. A pulse, silent, painless, and the men slumped. Mia opened the door. Level 2 was worse. A full squad patrolled the corridor, but Mia had planned for this. She triggered a false fire alarm in a distant sector. The squad rushed off, boots clanging. They moved on. The 3rd level was silent. Too silent. "That's a trap," Elena said softly. Before anyone could react, the lights died. Red emergency beams snapped on. From the shadows, figures emerged. Tall, silver-armored, faceless. The silent guard, Vorn's elite. "Run," Liam said, but it was too late. The guards opened fire. Plasma bolts lit the tunnel. Jake launched his wrens in a desperate wave. They exploded on impact, buying seconds. Mia pulled Elena behind a support column. Liam fired back, covering their retreat. 1 guard fell, then another, but more kept coming. "We can't fight them all," Mia shouted. "The chamber's just ahead," Elena said, pointing to a sealed door marked Core Access. "Jake, can you open it?" Jake sprinted forward, dodging fire. He slapped a device on the lock. 30 seconds. Liam took a hit to the shoulder. He grunted but kept firing. Mia hacked a nearby console, rerouting power to overload the lights. Sparks rained down, blinding the guards for a moment. The door hissed open. "Go!" Liam yelled. They rushed inside. Jake slammed the door shut behind them. The silent guard pounded on the metal, but it held. The control chamber was a cavern of glowing consoles and humming machinery. In the center, a massive crystal pulsed with red light, the heart of the Oblivion Array. Mia ran to the main terminal. "I can shut it down, but I need time." "Take it," Elena said, raising her pistol. Then the far wall exploded. Dust and fire filled the room. Through the smoke stepped Drex Vorn, flanked by 2 more silent guards. His armor gleamed, his eyes were cold. "I knew you'd come," he said, voice smooth. "Sentiment always leads you back to the nest." Elena stepped forward. "It's over, Vorn." He laughed. "Over? The parade hasn't even reached its climax. In 10 minutes, this planet dies, and with it, every rebel, every traitor, every memory of your pathetic resistance." Liam raised his blaster. "Not if we stop you." Vorn smiled. "You think you can kill me? I've died 100 times in simulations. I always come back." Jake sent his last wrens at him. They struck his chest, but shattered against his armor. Vorn flicked his wrist. Energy cuffs snapped onto Liam and Jake, locking their arms. Mia was still at the console, fingers flying. Elena stood alone. "You took everything from me," she said. "I gave you a lesson," Vorn replied. "Now watch your children die with you." He raised his hand to activate the array early. But Elena moved faster. She threw her plasma pistol aside and charged, not with a weapon, but with her mother's old command insignia, forged into a blade Liam had given her. She drove it into Vorn's chest, right where his cloned heart would be. He gasped, staggered, looked down in disbelief. You Forgot one thing, Elena said, her voice low. I don't fight to win, I fight to protect. Vorn collapsed. His guards froze, systems failing without his command. Mia shouted, Array override complete, it's offline. Silence fell. Above, the parade continued, unaware that its master was dead. Liam and Jake broke free of the cuffs. They gathered around their mother, who knelt beside Vorn's body, breathing hard. It's done, Mia said, but Elena shook her head. No, it's just beginning. Without Vorn, the Dominion would tear itself apart. Warlords would rise. Fleets would turn on each other. The galaxy would bleed, unless someone stepped in. But Elena looked at her children and knew they wouldn't take the throne. They weren't conquerors. They were healers. They escaped Zenthara as the first rebel ships broke orbit, sensing the shift in power. News spread fast. Vorn was dead. The array was silent. The prison general was free. Within weeks, the Dominion crumbled. Elena refused every offer of leadership. She and her children vanished into the outer rim, not as rulers, but as watchers. Years later, travelers would tell stories of a woman and her 3 children who appeared in times of trouble, fixing broken colonies, stopping warlords, vanishing before thanks could be given. The galaxy never forgot them, and the stars, once cold and distant, seemed to shine a little brighter whenever their ship passed through.